I wrote a business plan purely because I thought it would be a great exercise for me to do it. I had no idea, I'd never written a business plan before, and just from starting on page 1, it turned into a sort of 50-page document. It had to be edited down quite a lot, but it taught me a huge amount in the whole writing of it. One piece of advice I would really give to anyone setting up their own company is, even if they have private investment already secured, writing a business plan is a completely vital tool, because there are so many sort of things that crop up along the way that you just didn't even consider happening, and writing a plan is a very good way of reaching those problems before you actually have to attack them in real life. You have to be really sure that the idea's got legs before you can take it any further, so it's sort of like a vicious circle. But once the ball started rolling, everything sort of followed in its wake, and it became clearer as to what I had to do. The more people who got involved, obviously the more people who gave me advice, the clearer it became. I had a Finns forum, I called it, where I had boys coming around to my flat and sitting around a table with a glass of wine and telling me exactly what they liked in their footwear and what they didn't like, and what they liked in their toes, whether they wanted a heel, whether the rubber sole was too thick or thin. I mean, every single question imaginable, and actually I was really surprised and thrilled to see how much input people were prepared to give me. I mean, once they got going, they didn't want to stop. Once I had my business plan, I just went around with all the samples of my shoes in the back of my car and just drove around. I saw friends, I saw people who I'd met sort of in the fashion industry. They would put me in touch with someone that they knew. I met professional venture capitalists, all the way down to my next door neighbour and my godmother, and everyone wanted to get involved. And once I'd found my lead investor, who is a fantastic guy. He's involved in a lot of small businesses, and he really nurtures them, and he's got a lot of experience with sort of structuring things. And once people knew that he was behind it, everything sort of came on from there. And I think I'd raised my money within 3 weeks. I was incredibly lucky, because half the money I raised was from more substantial money from people who were in the industry or were involved in small companies or had a lot of retail experience. So that sort of automatically made out my board, should we say. And then the rest of the money was people who I knew. They put in small amounts, but they believed in the product, they had faith in me, and they were really keen to see the project survive and succeed. And so that was a huge marketing hurdle sort of jumped over, because instantly you had access to all of their friends, huge word of mouth campaign, which really, really helps. So yeah, half the money is my sort of professional input money, and the rest is just people wanting to help me on my way. PR has been really fantastic. If you can find, people really love a good story. If you have a good product, and I think my initial product, which was 10 pairs of shoes, all in the same style and just in a rainbow array of colours, it was very photogenic. People really sort of loved putting that. It was a very easy picture to sort of put on the news page of a magazine. And the price point as well made it a more fun, exciting, new, sort of just colourful and crazy idea. So people really got behind that. And also people really liked the story of, a sort of nice blonde girl setting up a business to sell shoes to all the men in her life, and sort of that angle of the story has had a really good response as well. So I've been really lucky that people have responded so well, and a good week of editorial is a good week of sales. So I can't stress enough how important getting good editorial and good PR behind your business is. I remember going out to Portugal and I don't think I've ever been so scared in my whole life. Going out on my own and having to discuss these two wonderful men who are now firm friends, and having to convince them that I was anything more businesslike than I was. And we talk about it and laugh about it now, like how green I was, and I had no idea. I'm not a shoe designer. I never have laid claims to be remotely shoe-oriented. It was just a sort of whim of an idea that came to me. So to try and pretend like I knew about structuring and vamps and aprons and moccasin stitches and rubber soles, I had no idea what I was talking about. But they liked me, and that was what got them behind me, not my technical know-how. My manufacturers really got behind the idea of what I was trying to do. So to have people on your side from the get-go was really has made has transformed the business, because they're prepared to help you if you need a sample, because a department store in America really wants to see a different coloured contrast stitch on a navy suede, and you ring up someone in China who is like, join the queue, then it just sort of makes it more difficult. Whereas I rang up my man in Portugal and told him the whole story, and he was excited as I was, and I had the sample in my hands within 24 hours, which is absolutely incredible. So yeah, look as hard as you can. There's no right or wrong way to find these people. For some reason, it's like finding the Holy Grail, because I suppose once people find something good, they want to keep it a secret. But if you can find people who believe in your product and get involved in what you want to do, then I think that's probably the most important thing. I'm trying to be as organic as possible about it, especially in the current climate. You've got to adapt to the changes as flexibly as possible. You've got to try and, just cater to what your customer wants more than ever, because they're going to need more convincing than ever. Of course, the plan is to expand into an entire giant empire and do everything related to menswear and online and affordable and yet luxurious, and that can be applied to anything really, and I'd love to explore that. But I think at the moment you just have to take each day as it comes and just try your best to just meet the demands, and maybe that's a good discipline for me at the moment. I'm not too excited, not too airy. I have to keep my head firmly on my shoulders, and yeah, just try and be as organic as possible and not let the ever crashing pound compared to the euro be too much of a drawback for me.